in Numbers chapter 16, this man named Korah is rebelling against Moses and Aaron, and he tells Moses, "You have gone too far." And then later, Moses tells him, "No, you have gone too far." And in Hebrew, that word, "you have gone too far," is translated enough. So that is where the title came from.
So let's drill down on that particular story in the Bible. It's the book of Numbers.
Yes.
And so therefore sometimes people they'll look at Genesis and Exodus, and unfortunately those next books, especially Leviticus and Numbers, might get a little bit of bad press in the Christian community, especially when you look at Leviticus, and there's such incredible truth that points to Jesus in that book. And Numbers, of course, again, we look at Moses and the Israelites, their interaction. You got this guy named Korah, and obviously, can we say he had some issues? So
he had many issues, yes.
So let's talk about his state of mind and his relationship with God, which ultimately ended up with judgment being carried out on him. But let's talk about the story. Then I want to talk about our application for us today. So
yes, well, the book is actually a deep dive into Numbers 16 and 17. And what I do is I find pieces of the story from all over Scripture and bring them together so we have the complete story. And Numbers kind of gets a bad rap because people think it's boring, but it's actually, it alternates between sections about Moses and God's people in the desert and then switches to laws. And that's where we get bogged down, but the narrative goes throughout the story. So I look at the details, like we discover that Korah is first cousin with Moses and Aaron. So then that makes a little more sense why he would think he's just as qualified as they are for leading the nation. So I like to pull out details like that just help make more sense of the story.
So as we look at his story and its implications for us today, obviously he was warned, and the law had been given. He violated that. He was disobedient. And tell us about how that applies to us today.
As we go through the book, there's a theme of contentment. And so this works also as a 6-week Bible study. And so there are questions about Scripture and digging deeper, but there's also self-reflection questions. Because as I pinpointed where Korah went wrong, I discovered that is exactly where we go wrong. So for instance, he was looking up the ladder at the 4 people who were closer to God than he was, instead of looking at what an elevated position he had over the rest of the Israelites and all the Gentiles. And we do the same thing. In fact, I didn't know I was going to be in the book until chapter 10. And as
do tell.
Yes. So as I was praying, because that chapter, I was at the end of a section, so I didn't have any more scripture to discuss, but it was half as long as the other ones. And then God brought a couple memories to mind. And at the beginning, I tell about going to the Parade of Homes, where they have just the latest and greatest of everything. And then you come to your house, and it doesn't seem like much. And then at the end of the chapter, I had an experience in Kenya where we were building houses, and they had a mud floor and mud walls and just a very thin metal roofing. And as we're dedicating the house, the homeowner, this woman, was just weeping and weeping. And we asked the translator why she was weeping. And she said, because I never thought I'd have a house this nice.
Wow.
And it would fit in half of your garage.